opulence, innovative, fearless, audacious, relevant.
Hey y'all, I'm Kristal King. I own Glamour Salon and Suites, and this is my page one. So I was the first one in my family to go to college. And I always knew growing up, like I was going to go to college. I was going to get married. I was going to have a house. I was going to have a child, like in that order. For some reason, that's how I thought the perfect life is. And to this day, my husband says, you want this fantasy life, and I'm like, well, fairy tale. That's what he say, a fairy tale. And I think it can be achieved. First of all, I'm a child of God. I'm a wife, a mom. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own Glamour Salon and Suites located in Stafford, Virginia. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, Temple Hills, Fort Washington, Maryland, and I now reside in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I grew up with both parents in a household. I grew up with a mom and I grew up with a dad. And I always emphasize that because something about having a father's love as a woman or as a girl, I feel like is so impactful on your life as a woman, especially growing as an adult. And it is a driving factor where it gives you tough skin. Having a father's love has made me strong, has made me to be able to overcome trials and tribulations by knowing that there's nothing you can do to tear me down, right? Because my father, and I'll talk about my mother too, but my father has instilled in me like love, like I love you. You are beautiful. And I'm not saying on the outside, just as a person, you are beautiful. You have purpose. So growing up with that being instilled in me, I've had high expectations with relationships and people that I've come in contact with, even with my husband. When I met my husband, I knew right then and there when I met him that he was the one. And I knew that because the type of dad I had. I watched how loving and caring my dad was, how he just had a big heart and how he loved and he would do anything for anyone, and how he raised his kids and his family and how he stood by my mom. And just in my family, I didn't really see a lot of moms and dads together. My family is very tight knit, but there's not too many people that have their mom and their dad in the household, and that's how I grew up. It wasn't perfect through the trials and tribulations, but he was there and he had a big impact on my life. So with that being said, and I met my husband and I said, he's the one. And they said, well, how did you know? And it's just something about the father's love that he gives to you that you can see in another individual. So it's funny because everyone thinks that I'm a beautician or a cosmetologist because I own a beauty salon, but I am a permanent cosmetic tattoo artist. So I actually tattoo cosmetics on women's face so that they can wake up made up every day. They no longer have to put on their makeup. They wake up and go. Their brows are already done permanently. Their eyeliner is done permanently. They have on lip blush that is permanent, and they just wake up flawless. And that is what I do. So I provide a flawless look, a luxury brow to women of all kinds and men as well. On my website, I have a story of how I got started. And it does speak about an aunt that I have that owns an actual hair salon. So I grew up in that industry. And the thing is, I never worked. All of my cousins worked in the hair salon growing up. They were shampoo girls. Some of them have grown and they're still cosmetologists working at the shop or they have their own shop. And I've never worked in the hair salon. So I grew up with girls that loved hair, loved makeup, loved fashion. I think that's how I got the passion, and it's on my website, the passion for fashion is kind of how I put it. And the funny story is behind that, when I got started, and again, I didn't foresee myself in the beauty industry. I was always taught, go to college, get a good job, right? And that was my mentality for a long time. And then it just dawned on me, like, this cannot be it. This is not what I see for myself. I need more. And long story short, when I came across microblading, which is part of permanent cosmetic tattooing, I thought of my family. I said, oh, this is a great business. They love to do their brows. Women love to do their brows. Now I can just make them look like this. They don't have to do their brows anymore. And then I got a rude awakening, because when I started the business and I started to do clients and women brows, I realized quickly that it's not just about beauty. It's about so many other things. There were women coming in there with real brow issues that I did not know exist. So I was fixing people's brows. And by that, I was fixing people confident. And my mission changed quickly. It wasn't about just beauty and looking good. It was more about confidence in women. And that was my journey, my beauty journey. I have a school. I have an institute. It's licensed through DPOR. And what I do is I teach young women and men to become licensed in permanent cosmetic tattooing. After their journey in my school and they graduate, they then have the opportunity to come and work at Glamour Beauty and Brows Permanent Makeup Studio, which is a business where I provide PMU services. From there, they continuously get the mentorship, the apprenticeship that they need to build their businesses, to understand customer service, clientele, the permanent makeup industry, and one-on-one hands-on support for them to perfect their craft. So that is what I essentially provide to my students. So they're not clients, they're students. And they come to me because they want the financial freedom and they want to do something that they enjoy, that they're passionate about. And the whole goal in the permanent makeup industry is to build confidence. And that's really what it's about. It's not just beauty, it's confidence, it's rapport, and it's relationships. And what I've come to learn is that what makes me admire women is we all have something in common. So when we look at other women and we, talk down about other women or each other, you learn that we are all here with the same goal outcome. We just want to be happy. We just want to be loved and care for others. And we're all going through our own day-to-day life trials and tribulations. And no one's better than another person, and with that, I just like to build momentum. So I have events that bring women together, like-minded women together, so that we can just have a rapport and just to understand, like, we're all the same. We're women that's out here with a purpose and just trying to figure out what that purpose is. I know I went on and on and on, but that's just one entity that I provide in my business. My first dollar, I remember that. So my husband family came down from New York and they stayed at our house for Christmas. And this was we had just had this house built that year, and they all came down and stayed there for us to celebrate Christmas. And I pitched my business to one of Derek's aunts. And I was like, hey, I do this thing called microblading, telling her about it. And, you don't have to do your eyebrows anymore if you draw them in. And I remember her saying, do me. I said, what? She said, do me. I had no equipment at this time. I did it we had a couch that you put a lever on the side and it lays back. And we made it happen. It was so bootleg and so out of compliance. So don't ever do this. But I remember she said, do me. And I had just got certified. And all I had was my student starter kit. Laid her back, had everything ready to go. And I was nervous as hell. But laid her back, had my book beside me, followed step by step of what I needed to do. Did her eyebrows. And I was just doing it, to get experience, to get, some models. And when I was done, she was like, I'm going to pay you. Here's $150. And I said, $150 for this? Which was the goal. But that was the first time I made money, and that's what boosted my confidence. And that's how I knew that this was real and this was about to be something bigger than what I can imagine. So my first eyebrow was a family member, Derek's aunt, and she paid me $150 after I was done. Why did I want to go to college without having the influence around me or seeing other people do it or my mom and dad even understanding what that looks like? Is that I saw a different life for myself. The life that I was in, I cherish it. I love it. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. But it wasn't it for me. And I knew that that couldn't be all there was out there. And remember, back in my day, there wasn't social media. There wasn't these open platforms to show you like across the world, like everything that's happening. So you just had to envision it in your mind of what you thought a great life was to be. And in high school, some colleges were coming to do recruiting. And I signed up, I put my name on the list. And when I did that, I knew that I was going to college. Did I know what college I wanted to go to? Did I know much about colleges? No. I didn't have any influence. So I applied for Spelman because I had high hopes and dreams. I didn't prepare for Spelman. I applied for University of California, I believe. And these are schools where you have to be like top of your class for, and I'm applying for these type of schools because that's how I thought of myself. And then I applied for this school called Livingstone College, HBCU. Didn't even know much about an HBCU. And of course, I didn't get accepted into University of California nor Spelman. And if I would have worked towards that, I probably would have got in, but I didn't. I was an honor roll student, 3.2 GPA, but there was more criteria that you needed. So moving forward, I applied for Livingstone College and I got accepted. And I was like, I'm going to college, y'all. And it was in North Carolina. I was very strategic, though, on the colleges that I applied to because I knew that I didn't want to be close to home. So I didn't want to go to a Bowie State University. I didn't really want to go to a Hampton University. I thought it was too close to home. It's the only reason why I didn't choose those schools. And Livingstone College was in North Carolina. And I was like, that's perfect. It's not too close, but it's not too far. And my dad was like, you sure you want to go that far? I'm like, Dad, that is not far. And my mom was like, no, let her soar. Let her go. Like, she needs these experiences. And one of the things I did, I had a best friend at this time. And she didn't know. I applied for this Livingstone College for her as well. Filled out the application, went through the whole process. And I said, we're going to college. And she was like, what do you mean we going to college? Like, I didn't apply. I said, I did it and you got accepted. And she was like, what? And she went with the flow with me. And our parents packed up the trucks and they followed one another. And we went on down to North Carolina. Our first dorm room we shared together. And long story short, I pursued on, did the full 5 years of college, undergrad. She didn't proceed, unfortunately. So I kind of stuck it out myself, and college was a whole nother experience. But I would say I'm grateful for the experience going to a HBCU, going to a private college. I will say it gives people like us the one-on-one attention that we need, and it gives us the opportunities that we don't foresee in ourselves. And it was just a great experience. And I think when I went to college, I remember my freshman year having the entrepreneurial spirit. And I would say because for some reason, anything I put my mind to, I executed. Not even knowing until now when I look back on it. And I'm like, wow, I did that. When my parents left, and then you have to do this thing. You have to go to registration. You have to sign up for your classes and do all of this stuff. And, we went and checked in and they told me that I needed a certain amount X of dollars to purchase textbooks. I was like, what? I had no clue, no money. I had to call home, call my granddad. I was like, I need money for textbooks. So it was a lot of things I didn't even know, that simplicity things that people know when they go to college that I just didn't know. So I was really going from the ground up, blind and not knowing anything about college, which was sad at the time because I was like, I'm never telling nobody that. And I feel like in my life, I started from the bottom up. Like, I feel like it's a trend, but it's always a light at the end of the tunnel. I ran for Miss Freshman, and I won. So we had a cotillion, and it was just like such a beautiful moment. I was like, wow, I did it, and I won, So that, and then they had this fundraiser that they were trying to raise money for the school. And I said, I'm putting on a fashion show. And I put on this fashion show and I raised all of this money. Like, people were buying tickets left and right. And the thing is, what I had to learn, and you learn in life, you have to get people to want to be a part of your team. But there's a way that you do that. Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKAs, were suspended on my campus when I started at Livingstone in 2000. And that was another thing. I was like, oh yeah, that's why I thought of Spelman. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in a sorority. Like, I was so excited about that. When I started at Livingstone, I noticed that they didn't have AKAs, but they had every other sorority. And come to find out, the AKAs were suspended. Not sure if it was what it was over, hazing, but they were suspended for a certain amount of years. And I remember my senior year, when it was time for me to actually graduate, or my semester was done, they were coming back. They were off of suspension. They were coming back. And I was like, oh, this is my prime opportunity. And they said, well, but I'm finished. So I'm thinking, oh, I could still pledge. They were like, if you stay one more semester, just sign up for some extra classes and stay enrolled, then you can pledge. I was like, oh no, I'm out of here. I was like, no, I'm not staying to pledge. Like, this has been a journey. Like, I'll do it one day. I was like, it's going to happen. Again, I put that in my mind. I was like, I'll make it happen. So a lot of my friends, they ended up pledging. They became AKAs. And then later on in life, spring 22, I pledged grad chapter, and I became an Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKA spring 22. Knowing what Alpha Kappa Alpha is all about, I felt like it was perfect for me in this time. If I would have did it while I was in college, I don't think I would have had the same respect, opportunities, and I wouldn't have took it as serious. Because it's about servicing people. It's about giving back. It's integrity. It's women of honor. It's so much. And thinking about myself in my college days and wearing these letters, I don't know if I would have upheld it to that standard. And it was so funny because when I decided, like, it's time for me to become an Alpha Kappa Alpha, I didn't realize how hard it was. I remember when I got approved, again, my perfection caused procrastination. And I was like, oh my God, I got to school. What do I do now? So during that process, my mom came into the picture. She lived in Maryland, but she came into the picture as far as helping me to line the school up for like admissions and curriculum and everything that came with it to operate efficiently. So finally took my first official class. I want to say the end of 2022. First class was great. My mom was a part of the whole process. She was there at every class. So at the end of that class, it was graduation. So they did their full hours. They were graduating. I told my mom, don't worry about coming down, because it was a small class. The first class was very small. I said, it's the last day of class. You don't have to come all the way down here, for a couple hours to see, these students kind of get their certificates. So I remember graduation day, the students are working because on their last day, they're typically doing a client or something. They're doing like hands-on, and I'm just kind of coaching them. And I remember being in the institute, and my husband came in and my son came in, and I'm like, they're really early. I thought they were going to come for the graduation part, me to give them their certificates and, congratulate and give flowers and stuff. And they came and they're just sitting there, and in my mind, I'm like, why are they just sitting here? So then my husband come and grab my phone, and I'm like, why is he grabbing my phone? But I don't want to react, because it's students there and it's clients. So I'm just like, let him do his thing. So I'm like, okay, let me just get through this. So then they finish that portion, and then it's the end of the class, and it's time for graduation. And graduation just means that they get their certificates and accolades and things like that. So class is over, congratulating everyone. They're leaving. We're wrapping it up. And it's just me, my husband, and my son now in the institute. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're getting ready to go and visit. We're going to Maryland to visit my family because I think we had something to do that day. So my husband came over, and I just remember this was the worst feeling in the world. I was so excited. I was like, I did it. I just graduated my first class. I made, good money, meaning like it was just worth it. Like, I'm like, we did it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. And he come on, he like, okay, let's pray. And I'm like, yeah, let's pray. So when we go to pray, he was like, Kristal, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, your mom's gone. And I was like, when I say I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, but to be so happy, like genuinely, like, and then to feel like you got stabbed in the heart and just sad in the same time is like a heart attack. And we were holding hands, and my son was with it, and I don't think my son knew either. So he found out at the same time I did. So he had took my phone because he didn't want me to get the texts or the messages or whatever was happening. So when we was praying, thinking he's about to pray like he usually do, and he said, your mom is gone, I didn't even think twice, open my eye, I just dropped to the ground. And I screamed so loud, and I just knew it was true. And that was the worst day of my life. It was just the worst day of my life. And she was supposed to be there. And she was a part of this, and she was just gone. Like, what? I did have another class lined up after that I had to do, like in a couple weeks. So I pushed it back by a week. I told them, I said, look, this is what's happening. They were understandable. I didn't realize it, but I didn't have another class. I went a whole year, and my first class was Sunday that just passed. I had to get it together. I had to, I have this institute, I have this school. It's just sitting there. And I didn't know that I had trauma. Like when I go in the space, that was where I found out my mother passed. That's where that experience is right there. And I guess I had trauma, and I just stayed away. And finally, I got it together, been praying. I told you I'm in this transition point. I trust in God. I got my prayer box, and I just got this confidence back, and it's overwhelming feeling that you got this and that she's there. And I opened up the school again. I put out there for the first class, and it started on October 19th was the first class. So I'm back in action with the Institute. My life is in a transition right now. And with that transition, and for it to be I had to say it, like, my life is in a transition, because I've been thinking it, but I couldn't figure out how to execute it and how to make change. So it clicked to me not too long ago, like, my life is in a transition, and I'm going to make it happen. And I had to think about what that transition looks like for me, meaning I'm going to have to say no to certain things, maybe drinking, taking shots, like But what is that going to do for me? Because that means certain people may not be in my life and show up the way that they used to. Am I scared of that change? But nor here or there, wherever it takes me, my life is in a transition. And in order for me to get to where I want to be and where I vision myself at, I have to do the transition. So with that, I brought a prayer box. It's been about a month or so. And this prayer box is what I'm using to write my prayers daily. Now, I'm a perfectionist. Being a perfectionist, you become a procrastinator. So you don't get anything done, right? Or you take time to get it done or it never happens. So with this box, I started writing down my prayers. I didn't want to have to go to the Bible and be like, oh, let me make sure I'm writing it. I'm talking to God. Like, just write the prayer, put it in a box and close it. And I've started to see my life change and go into fruition. And things started to happen that I didn't expect to happen. Like today, God is opening, because you know what? You think in your mind that you know what's best for you, or you know what you want, and then he gives you something totally different in a way that you can't even fathom or expect it. That's the great thing about God. And I try to tell my son that, like, God is real. And you know, you're a child and you get into those areas or modes where you have questions. Well, how you know God is real? Well, where does it say that in the Bible? You know, and that's what I'm dealing with now with him, to try to encourage him, to show him, if you have questions, talk to God. He will show you. Open the Bible and read it. It's there. But it's okay, because your parents got you. We're going to pray. We're going to keep you covered. It'll happen in its own time. But for me, the transition is happening because I'm saying it. I'm making it happen. And through the prayer box, I'm asking for clarity. I'm asking for him to show me, because I can't do it on my own. I've noticed that. And I don't even have the foresight. So he's going to use people around me and ensure that it happens and that I'm good. So with this transition that I am in my life, that's going to get me to the next step, is me making a change and a step and putting God first. I don't know if I've been putting God first before. In my mind, I have, but my actions wasn't showing it. And so that's where I'm at today.